This toy may not stop the time, but it has stolen my heart. Hello, friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where we are taking a look at DX9's La Hire, or possibly unique toys. I don't really know what the situation is with that. Admittedly, I haven't done too much digging on this situation, but I guess it was some kind of collaborative effort between Unique Toys and DX9. But regardless, this is a third-party masterpiece-ish take on the Last Night Hotrod, and unlike some other attempts at this type of figure, which shall remain nameless, is not as much of a hot garbage fire as the movie itself. I hate that movie so much. Anyway, as much as I hate the movie, I actually really love this. This is fantastic. So as I said, I don't know the particulars about the DX9 versus Unique Toys thing, but this definitely fits right in there with the likes of Peruk Hill, and I would assume Challenger. Unfortunately, I no longer have my Challenger. I'm working on getting another one, hopefully soonish. I put Challenger on the chopping block for the Great Selening, and I changed my mind, and in the 10 seconds it took for me to bring up the page to cancel the listing and actually click the confirmation button, someone bought it. So no more Challenger for Rob, but, like I said, I'm planning on getting another one. But anyway, I do still have Peruk Hill, so I will be doing a comparison between those two. But yeah, La Hire is amazing. Like, utterly amazing. The vehicle mode looks fantastic. I'm not super into cars or anything like that, but this is a really nice looking car. I mean, there's no denying that. It's a little panely in places, particularly up front here, but given everything it does, that doesn't really bother me. And I feel like the paneliness in this is a lot less prevalent than it is with Peruk Hill. Also, this guy does something much better than Peruk Hill does, and that is the windshield. Notice you don't have the obvious panel with little attachment points and stuff showing through. Just bringing Peruk Hill in real quick, you can see exactly what I'm talking about here, and there's also reflecting the entirety of the light box. But you can see these little bits for the windshield for Peruk Hill, and there you go. There you can kind of see it. Whereas La Hire does not have that. That looks a lot better. And you can also see that Peruk Hill is a little bit more, I guess just because the coloring, the seams in the hood section are a little bit more obvious, but they still look pretty darn great together. And I think it's interesting how they're both similar in terms of design. I mean, I don't know anything about the cars, but if you look at the designs of the fronts there are a lot of design cues between the two of them that are very similar. Like the little bits that kind of come down and around and go up into the nose there, that slightly three-pointed design of the hood, which is a lot less obvious here. The headlights are a similar shape. It's interesting. Anyway, let's get Peruk Hill out of here and focus on La Hire. And yeah, La Hire just looks fantastic. This car mode looks great. The side mirrors don't seem to have any silver on them, which is fine. There may actually be stickers in the box. I never actually opened the packaging that has the instructions in it, so I don't know for sure, but it's okay. Peruk Hill's silver came off. I was probably going to paint that back on, so I'll probably just do the same for La Hire. There's a lot of really nice coloring in here, and all things considered, there's not a lot of obvious paint in the vehicle mode, but it works so well how you've got the orange trim going all the way around the sides there in the front. The back has those nice, really narrow taillights. It's a very interesting kind of, line-heavy design back there. It's really nice contours on this vehicle. And silver rims, which I always appreciate. Also, you can see a little bit of what looks like the brake system on the inside there, and here as well. I also appreciate how they did the orange lines kind of going up a little bit to bring them more into the front there. I'm not sure if that one is supposed to be painted or not. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, I don't know. But still, it looks really good. And I like how they've got the kind of silver underneath the translucent plastic for the headlights to really make them pop. And yeah, this is just a very, very sleek looking car. And I really, really, really like that orange along the bottom. It just pops so hard against the black. It looks really good. It makes Peruk Hill look kind of bland in comparison. Just that little bit of color. And since this is a car and I'm not a car guy, that's about the extent of what I can say about Peruk Hill's vehicle mode. So, I'm sorry, Lahire's vehicle mode. That's all I can say about Lahire's vehicle mode. But anyway, let's get to those size comparisons. So, as before, here's Peruk Hill. You can see the two of them together, and they're, Peruk Hill's a bit bigger, vaguely similar in design. I don't think Peruk Hill's coloring is bad or anything. It's got this really nice metallic-y sheen to it. It looks great, but just the orange and black on Lahire pops so well, like I said. Here is Lahire with a more standard size comparison. And yeah, it's definitely bigger than a Deluxe. I'd say it put him like vaguely Voyager-ish. Sort of between Voyager and Leader, I guess. And Duck Tank. Alright, so with all those size comparisons out of the way, let us turn this guy from a sleek and sexy car into a mostly good-looking robot. And here we have Lahire in robot mode. And with one or two nitpicks, I actually really love this robot mode. I think the transformation is fantastic. It's actually kind of amazing. Now, I think Peruk Hill is fantastic. Peruk Hill's transformation is great. It's fun. It's really impressive how that robot just kind of materializes out of the car and the car completely disappears. But Lahire makes Peruk Hill look like a chump. The engineering on this thing is baffling. In a good way. It is a complex transformation, but it's a complex transformation that makes sense. And it's amazing to me how so much of it's not just that the car turns inside out, but sections of the car turn inside out. Like the legs are folded up and around inside out to make the rear of the car. And when you when you transform him into robot mode, that means that there's nothing on this guy. There's no real kibble. Like, he's got the wings, but those are from the movie. It's amazing what they did here. It's really amazing. They even did stuff like incorporate some of that orange from the trim of the car. When you fold this piece around, it incorporates into the orange of the shin there. And even on the backside here, there's so much clever stuff going on here. Again, I just love the fact that the entire rear section of the car turns inside out to form the legs with like no kibble on them. The arms are incredibly cleverly done. And like, I remember watching, I think it was Emgo's video that I was watching on this, where I was like looking at it and I was kind of like, oh, it's a shame that you have this little bit hanging off the elbow, but whatever. But then it tucks back around behind the arm. And it completely disappears. It's amazing. I am super duper impressed with all this. And yeah, I mean, there's a fair bit of cheating. Like, a lot of the stuff that you see here is not stuff that you see in vehicle mode, with the exception of the tires and like little tiny, like the tires on the forearms, like little tiny sections of what's down here on the sides of the legs, as well as the tires, the wings, obviously, and like the hood chest. And everything else is pretty much just cheating, I guess, technically, but it's a Bayformer. You can't do these without cheating. But it's incredible. The transformation on this guy is even more amazing than Challenger. And the result is fantastic too. I mean, I will admit, I think that Hot Fire looks better in robot mode in small ways, but that figure's garbage. I will take a slightly less accurate movie Hot Rod with a transformation that I actually enjoy doing and is actually clever and holds together really well over that thing. Yeah, this looks fantastic, and I love that you go from a car that's predominantly black with a little bit of orange here and there to a robot that's much more balanced in terms of black and orange and even silver. I will state again, for the record, I absolutely hate The Last Knight. That movie is utter trash and does not need to exist and should be wiped from human consciousness, but this is a cool figure. And in Hot Rod's defense, I don't hate him as much as I hate Cogman. I can't even say I hate Hot Rod. I hate what they did with Hot Rod, and the stuck with a French accent nonsense was just dumb. I mean, it's the kind of juvenile humor that I expect from Michael Bay. At least they didn't have him, humping a dog or something. But I can't really complain too much about Hot Rod as he was in the movie. Cogman, though, Cogman was terrible. Yeah, LaHire looks great. The balancing of colors is great. Like, you get predominantly more orange in the lower body, but you still get a lot of little hits of orange throughout the entire rest of the body here. And it's as I said, much more balanced than it is in vehicle mode, where you just have orange along the bottom and then that's it. I love that they actually do manage to use the actual front of the car for the chest. There's no cheating there. I love that the wheels have a place to go and they don't actually look like kibble. They just kind of work where they are. Now, one of my gripes is the wings. I know the wings are there. I know it's part of the design. I know that that's just how it is, and that's fine. That's fine. I don't hold it against the figure for, treating the wings like they were treated in the movie. What bums me out is the fact that you can't really do anything else with the wings. I really wish that you could, push these up a little bit and fold them in more, just to get them out of the way. And you can kind of, because they're on a sliding joint, you can push them in more. But if you push them in more, then when you try to fold them down, they knock against this bit here. So you kind of have to pull them out if you want to fold them down. And then if you rotate them to fold them down, you can kind of get them a little bit more flush against the back. But when you fold them around that way, then they kind of interrupt the silhouette of the midsection a little bit if you're looking at them from the front. It's not terrible, but it's just, I wish you had a few more options with the doors. I particularly would have liked it if you could fold the windows down. You can't. There's no joint there. But I would have liked it if you could, fold the windows down and into the doors to just slim these wings up a little bit more. It is not anywhere near enough to make me dislike this figure in any way, but it's a shame. I do wish you could do a little bit more with those wings. Getting in closer to look at details, they do a fantastic job again with how the entire back of the car just turns inside out to make legs. It's surprisingly clean. You got like a little bit of the taillights for the heel, but it integrates into the shape of the foot really well. He's got these weird Ninja Turtle two-toes feet, but I'm assuming that's movie accurate. I like the big splash of silver and orange for the shins there. It's a little boxy looking, but I really don't mind. And yeah, this hinge here is a little bit distracting visually, but again, given what this guy does, it's totally fine. And again, I also, love how they integrated this orange from the side of the car into the shin to just kind of make it look like it goes around a little bit more. There's some nice kind of mechanical tech details along the inside there. I love that he still has a very functional knee joint with all that. Like the whole lower leg transformation just amazes me. I love it. Then you've got the panels that fold around to kind of fill out his thighs and just get out of the way, which is great. And it adds a little bit more orange and silver to the thighs there, which is also great. And the midsection is full of lots of silver and orange and techie detail with like what looks to be a car engine for a stomach, which, okay, I guess. Looking at the back here, it's just great. It's so great how clean this all is. And some nice detail on the backs of the thighs as well. He also has some nice detailing on his back. If you get these up and out of the way, you can see that a lot of the car, the top of the car tucks into his torso very nicely, and then this closes it off very nicely as well. And also kind of looks like he's got one big car engine in his back. It's nicely detailed, nicely painted. In here, you get these kind of orange bits. That's a clever way of dealing with this stuff. It's a little bit of a pain to get these out when you're transforming them back into car mode, unless you undo the torso first and start transforming it, which is fine. But I like how this adds a little bit more orange to the torso and kind of works to taper it out into his chest. And you get a little bit of silver, and the way these line up, it's actually like, I'm actually just noticing this now that I'm paying more attention to it, but I love how you've got this silver detail here that's like a pipe that actually lines up with the tubing in the torso to go around and into whatever that is. Like, that is some wild engineering planning there. And of course, you've got the car hood for chest, which totally works. I thought at first I was going to be distracted by this big silver bit going up the center and along the sides, but when I first got this guy, I actually had him mistransformed the first time I did it. I didn't realize that you have to really push this T-bar section down when you're transforming him, like push it down all the way and then clamp this shut. I was like clamping it shut before it was pushed down all the way, so this bar kind of stuck up and was really a little bit distracting, but here it integrates so much better when you actually transform him properly. It's nice and smooth. You get some nice mechanical details in there as well. There's that just nice splash of silver that is added to the black of the chest there. It's good stuff. And the arms, also extremely clean. Not as much of a technical marvel as the legs, but I do really like it. And I think it's clever how the back, like the seats, are integrated into his forearms. They just fold right up. You don't even notice they're there. Like, I didn't even realize that that's where the seats went when I first transformed him. It was when I was trying to flip this bit around that it was kind of butting into it, and that's when I realized, oh, there's the seats there. And if you lift them up slightly, it gives you a little bit of a smoother time rotating that in. But yeah, and the detailing is great. You got, again, that great black and orange. I'm looking at his hands now, like, I'm sure this is because of movie accuracy, but it bugs me that this orange design is like just off to one side of the hand. It looks like it should be covering the entire back of his hand and coming up a little bit. But as I said, I'm sure it's like an accuracy thing. It just is a little bit like, that should be centered or larger. It bugs me that it's off center, but nothing about this is enough to make me not love this. And this nice detail here is cool because, like, this is covered by the doors in vehicle modes, so you don't even see that part of the arm, really, unless you open the doors. And then you've got the more kind of engine-looking silver detail in the forearm there. Some nice molding of the biceps, some like venting details in the shoulders, and these little bits that, I mean, I don't know what they're supposed to be really, the shoulder pads here, but like it totally evokes the, the rest of the car design with like the silver, orange, and black motif there. It looks great. Just across the board looks great, except that head. Again, as with virtually every design issue I've had with this figure, it's because of the movie design. It's not the figure itself. I think Hotrod's head is terrible. I think the design of it is terrible. Much like how I hate the design of movie Bumblebee's head. Or his unmasked head, anyway. That said, on a technical level, this looks great. There's a lot of really nice detail. There's a nice mixture of the black and silver and orange and like a little bit of like a kind of gunmetal-y coloring for the face there. And those blue eyes pop super hard. It's just, I hate the design of it. Which, as I will keep saying, is the movie's fault, not the toy's fault. Let's not blame the toy for that. But it just looks so dumb. It's like they try to salvage it a little bit, and from the side, it doesn't look terrible. Like, there's some weird stuff going on in the face there, but like the shape of the head back there, the kind of extra little details and swept back kind of techno robot-y looking stuff is cool. But when you're looking at it from the front, the way it kind of flares out at the top there, and that's I think what helps with looking at it from the side. You don't notice that flare. But when you're looking at it from the front, the way it flares at the top makes it look like he's wearing a bike helmet. And I think that's really dumb. That's like Tobot stuff. I don't know why they did that. The people who designed the character for the movie. I mean, I know why they did it for the toy. Because they had to. But, I really don't like the design of the head. But again, technically they pulled it off really well. Okay, let's get him back to the side here so that we can do our size comparisons. Here he is with the more standard deluxe, and definitely putting on a show with how there's a lot of robot that compacts into that little vehicle mode. Granted, yes, his vehicle mode is definitely bigger than Downshift's vehicle mode, but when he expands out into a robot, there's a much bigger discrepancy in size. He unpacks really well, is what I'm saying. Here he is with the duck tank, and I'm going to need to readjust. 1 second. Alright, there's a better shot of him with Peruk Hill, and yeah, the size discrepancy between these two is pretty intense. I think it's interesting how the size difference in vehicle mode was definitely noticeable, but it wasn't as pronounced, but then they both expand out so well into their robot modes that it feels like there's some serious mass shifting going on here. Which, again, is because they do such a great job of turning inside out. But yeah, it's cool, and they work together. Lockdown is huge in comparison. But again, as I said at the beginning of the video, as much as I really, really like Peruk Hill, Lahire puts him to shame in terms of virtually everything. Virtually. Like, there are certain things that Peruk Hill does better. Like, for example, Peruk Hill can tilt his feet forward and backward. Lahire just has a very minimal toe joint. Yeah, the engineering on Peruk Hill blew my mind. The engineering on Lahire, it feels like comparing, I don't know, like a Studio Series figure to a brilliantly designed masterpiece. There's a significant jump in skill, I think, in terms of engineering between these two figures. And that's assuming they're both designed by the same company. As I said, it's kind of confusing whether it's like DX9 or Unique Toys or if it's collaboration or whatever. I didn't read too much into it, but they are an interesting look at how much difference a couple of years can make. But again, to clarify, Peruk Hill is still fantastic. It's just that Lahire is more fantastic. And that is going to do it for DX9's Lahire. This figure is incredible. It really is. I mean, I know that, as I said, Hotfire TF Evo's garbage thing was visually, like, it looked great, but that transformation, the QC, it just was not functionally great. LaHire feels much more like a full package. Like, he still looks great. And as I said, that transformation is kind of mind-blowing. It's super impressive. And while I'm not a huge fan of Hotrod in the movies, and I absolutely hated The Last Knight, can't let that color my opinions on a fantastic figure. Getting my hands on him has convinced me that I need to make reacquiring Challenger my next top priority. And yes, seeing the color shots of their of Unique Toys' upcoming The Last Knight Megatron, I forget what they're calling that figure, but their version of The Last Knight Megatron, like, I wasn't into it based on the prototype images. I thought the jet mode or space jet mode looked really weird and boxy, but seeing it in full color, it looks incredible. So that's also going to be a high priority in the future. But for now, we are talking about LaHire, and I believe I've said enough about LaHire. So, what do you all think of this guy? I know I didn't show off all the accessories, or the fact that you can actually, like, put a little person inside of him, almost like a Human Alliance figure, or an alternator, which is definitely cool, and very impressive when you think about it, because, you know, he actually has to have a void on the inside of his vehicle mode, and opening doors and seats in order for that kind of thing to work, and they pulled it off. And it's amazing for it. But, you know, I'm not really the type to show off accessories unless they play a significant part in the robot or vehicle mode. But aside from the disappointment of me not showing off the accessories, what do you all think? In the great Hotfire and LaHire showdown, which one do you think is the better of the two? As I said, it's hard to deny that Hotfire looks a little bit better, but that is far less important to me personally. In terms of movie stuff, is there any other stuff from the movies that you're hoping that we get to see in terms of, like, masterpieces or third-party stuff? And if you know anything else about that whole DX9 Unique Toys thing, feel free to chime in, because I, like I said, have not done much research and don't really know what the story is there. But whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like, subscribe, or if you're feeling generous, you could buy me a coffee. Any of those things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.